everyone, and welcome to this week's bonus podcast where we are featuring a profile on the brilliant character.
Oh.
So, in our opinion,
is
this controversial already? I know it's not PC to admit as a Corrie fan to liking this character sometimes at the moment, but I don't care because I think she's great to watch. It's Abi. This is the most controversial bit of this. Webster, Franklin, currently Webster. Not really sure how long that's going to last. This is the briefest Webster that there's been, I don't know. But for now, she is Abi Webster, who's a character that I have absolutely adored since she started in the programme. At times it's been difficult, some of the action, some of the choices that she's made, and I'm sure that we will discuss the, her less than angelic points later on, but we will see. We're going to have a little rundown of her time in Coronation Street because she's been in it nearly 5 years, Gemma. 4.5 years. I can't believe it. Abby has been on the programme.
And when she first came in it, she was kind of a different character, wasn't she?
Well, yeah, she was like very, very much a side character at the beginning, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. I don't think was she supposed to ever be like a main character?
I don't think. You never know with these things, do you? You look back in these characters that stay forever, and you see on their profile that says, "Oh, they were only brought in for 6 episodes." I think this is the case with Abby. I think she was in for like 8 episodes or something in 2017, and then she made the big comeback the next year. But
so she's not been in it for even 5 years.
Not been in it.
The first part of that was.
Yeah. Well, we will get to that when we get to see. But she definitely had some periods off screen, late 2017 to early 2018, and now it feels like she's never off the screen, which I think is pretty brilliant. But so let's run down, Gemma, her statistics as we always do for these character profiles. She has been married to Kevin Webster since late last year, her one and only marriage, as far as I know. But she's got quite a few children, including Seb Franklin, who was born in 2001, dead. Charlie and Lexi Franklin, born in 2012, Australia, and Baby Smith, recent addition to the household, and I put Baby Smith down as its name because I don't think it's got a proper name. And is she Jennifer Smith? I think she brought herself into the hospital just yesterday. I mean, this is one of those character profiles that's going to be immediately dated and soon out of date, isn't it? Because this is definitely an ongoing story here. But as Abi is certainly one of the principal characters in this week's Coronation Street, we thought it'd be a good idea to do the character profile of her. But things are changing all the time. And here's a good fact, Gemma. First made an appearance, not just in 2017, but your birthday 2017.
Who else was it that did that? Was it
Phelan?
Pat Phelan, yeah.
Phelan and Abi, two of our literally favourite characters ever. Well, especially since the podcast has started. Both made their appearance on your birthday. What a beautiful present for you.
Also, it's Gandhi's birthday.
And is it also Gandhi's birthday? And Simon Gregson. Birthday too, isn't it?
Yep, we all have
joyous
many
day.
Things in common.
Yeah. She's been in just under 400 episodes in that 4.5 years on the show, and I can't believe we haven't even mentioned this yet, but she's played by Sally Carman. Not Sally Carmen. Sally Carman. Lots of people get that one wrong. I got that one wrong. I got told off once. I was doing a little bit of research about Sally's backstory, and apparently her dad was a coal miner. That's a proper classic northern job, that is, isn't it?
My granddad was a coal miner.
Oh, was he? Southern job?
Fairly southern.
Fair, you're quite southern, aren't you? Now, apparently, her dad worked overtime at mine to afford drama lessons for Sally.
Aww.
So, thank you very much, Pappy Carmen. And because of him, she was able to train at the Lambda Drama School in London, and she first made her TV debut in 1998. She was in a show called City Central. I'm going to say Police.
Sounds like a bus stop.
It does, doesn't it? Next stop on the City Central. It's Sally Carman. Her first major TV role, though, was in a drama called Bomber in 2000. Jacket. Yes, that was about Kevin's purple bomber jacket. Exactly right. It was destined. It's in the stars.
The origin story of how they bought it.
She's done a couple of other shows, quite a lot of shows if you look at her IMDb. But the main role that thrust her into the spotlight was Kelly Maguire in Shameless, which had started in the early 2000s, I think. But her debut was in the 2005 series. From 2009 onwards, though, that was when she was like a principal character, and that's always something we've said we'd quite like to see her in. We never have. I don't know whether I want to kind of start the early series of Shameless just so that I can get through to the 2009
It's supposed to be
series
very
where she's a
good.
main character. Oh yeah, I think
I
it is.
just have no idea.
It looks a bit rude, doesn't it?
It looks. Is it depressing?
I don't know. I think it's kind of supposed to be funny, but there's
Oh.
also people, getting drugged up all the time and swearing a lot. That's my understanding of Shameless.
I don't mind.
Tell me if I'm wrong. No, I don't think it's supposed to be a sad one.
Oh.
It's just Channel 4 irreverent chavs, basically.
Irreverent chavs.
But yeah, I would like to see that sometime. But as I say, it's going through 4 series just to get to the Sally Carmen goodness. I don't know. Maybe one day. Maybe.
I'm sure.
She's been in lots of other things in the past decade or so. Prisoners' Wives, River's Edge, Silent Witness. She's done some stage work as well, including the lead role in a show called Dreamers, which was a musical play at the Oldham Coliseum. That was back in 2015.
Cool.
Yeah, she's one of these multi-talented performers, Gemma. Don't you just hate her?
People like that are why I exist, because I have no talents.
They suck it all out of us, norms, don't they?
It's not fair.
I know, totally. She's also a trained, how do you say that? Reiki?
Yeah,
Reiki therapist. And she worked at a holistic salon in Chiltern in 2014 as well. So if you ever want any of your, what do they do?
When you say
your bad
holistic salon,
chi.
it makes it sound like you go in for a haircut and they're like, oh, your chakras are misaligned. Even if I do your fringe, you're still going to look manky.
I don't know. But anyway, that all ended in 2017 when she took the role of Abi on Coronation Street. I think it was like August 2017 she first started filming in that, before her debut that October. She was just a guest role at first, as we said earlier. And she'd also auditioned for other parts in the show as well. She was going to be Kate Connor. Do you know that? So I wonder whether we'd have liked Kate Connor any better if Sally Carmen had played her. Would she have made quite the same impression on us?
Interesting, because Kate is a lot younger.
Which she is,
the
isn't she?
actress who ended up playing her. I mean, they would have changed the age, surely, but
yeah, I guess there was
had
no
to
need
have had
necessarily.
her, a lot.
Well, I mean, Sally Carmen can play younger than she is. 'Cause I think Abi is younger than Sally, because Sally Carmen was born in like 75, I think, and Abi's supposed to be late 30s according to Corrie this week. But how different life could have been.
And yeah,
What?
that's it. I don't know what to
That is all. Thank you for that contribution.
And
So, yeah, she was in October 2017, and then she came back in April 2018. Well, I mean, she came back a little bit in January 18, but from April 2018, that is when she was a permanent character.
That's
And
really
she's barely been off our
interesting.
screen since. Very interesting stuff, isn't it? So, Gemma, I went on to Corriepedia, as I always do for my research for these character profiles, and it was one of the ones where their article kind of stopped midway through her tenure. It's like, it's all right. She's a fairly new character. There can't be a whole lot to do. 3 hours. I was trawling through the other pages on Corriepedia to find out what she got up to in the years since, to remind myself, should I say, because she's done an awful lot, hasn't she? She's had her finger in many pies and stories. She's rescued
everybody.
Nobody
cares.
Everybody.
Everyone's ungrateful, aren't they?
Yeah. She's had her highs, very, very highs, and very, very lows as
Which
well.
also
Frequent
involve highs.
lows. Yeah, they did actually. Yeah. She's the upper and downer of Coronation Street. So let's sit back and have a chat about her life history. Now, we don't know very much about early Abi. She hasn't even been graced with a birthday on the programme. She's one of those characters that they just need to... They're going to give a birthday to a random year whenever it happens to fit into the story at some point. But in 2017, somebody who does have a birthday, because it's just this week, is Seb. That was when he was born, and his dad was Tez, who we've seen just recently on Coronation Street, the gun dealer of Weatherfield.
Short for Tezapu.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to be Terry, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know, maybe, on the estates of Wythenshawe, Tez is just like a common Christian name. I don't know.
Baby Tez.
Yeah, a little Tezza. So he didn't stick around for long. Abi then struggled somewhat with single parenthood, which saw her turning to drugs and alcohol. 2012, shoot forward to that. I better not use that word around Abi for multiple reasons. So by this time, she's met up with this chap called Darren. She has twins from him. Now, he is a neglectful father and ends up being very abusive towards Seb as well, which Abi knows about, but is unable to stop. And I think as we go through this character profile of Abi, we'll end up seeing things and go, Why do we laud her so much?
We don't laud her.
She's an enjoyable character to watch, but she is also deeply flawed in many ways, isn't she? So she let this abuse of Seb just carry on, which obviously led to quite a difficult relationship between Abi and young Seb. But she still tried to look after him when she could. And then we also found out a little bit later into her tenure on the show that Seb had a girlfriend called Lacey, and she died, and Abi decided not to tell Seb that Lacey was actually HIV positive, and he may have contracted it from her. Spoiler alert, he actually did. That comes in a little bit later.
Wasn't it?
Well, she just didn't want to,
upset him.
Yeah, exactly. She didn't want to confront the truth, I suppose, maybe, which we've seen multiple times with Abi. She'd rather bury her head in the sand, wouldn't she, rather than confront what's going on. And that was a perfect example of that. So should we start alternating the main years on the programme? Do you want to do 17? I do 18? What's been going on with Abi? What did she do in the first year? Gemma, read my notes in an entertaining way, please.
I can't, but I'll read
them anyway. Do your best.
Darren was nasty to her and attacked her.
Mm-hmm.
And so and Seb tells Faye about it. At this point, Seb and Faye were going out with each other.
Yeah, Seb was just brought in basically as a boyfriend to Faye, wasn't he? And
I
remember that, and I thought, oh, he's not going to be in it for long, because quite often they'll bring in just random boyfriends of existing characters or girlfriends or whatever, and they're just in for a story and then they disappear off, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think there was anything majorly remarkable about Seb at that time, but I went on to think he was quite good.
Abi throws him out. Who's him? Darren.
Yes.
And vows to turn her life around for
how's that going, Abi?
First or last time. Seb is sceptical, rightfully so, and she decides against running away from home with Faye because she says he can't leave the twins alone with that maniac.
Mm-hmm.
Anna then starts taking interest in Seb's home life. And then Abi does not like this.
No, that puts her nose right out of joint.
But
as it would to anybody. If Anna came poking her nose around my business, I'd have, bugger off, Anna.
No, I'd say,
look, over me.
If you're going to help, go clean the toilet.
Yeah, go and do. Go and scrub my gussets of my long johns for me.
No, I don't want to scrub in my gussets, but she can take a broom to the floor, can't she?
This is so funny because it's not long since Abi first started, but the fact that Anna was still, a very much ongoing character. It feels like a lifetime away since Anna has gone, and Phelan and all that.
They were in a different programme.
Yeah. I mean, this was Kate Oates who introduced Abi, wasn't it? And we did have an awful lot of praise for her as a producer, and I think 2017 was probably our favourite year of Corrie stories when we were doing the podcast, what with all the Phelan stuff going on and the Who Pushed Ken and everything like that. But it feels like ages ago, but it was actually relatively recent.
Yes,
sorry, back over to you.
Abi starts taking advantage of Anna's kindness, but then she falls off the wagon. She overdoses on drugs. She gets found by the twins. Then Seb and Faye find her, call an ambulance. Sally calls the social services, but Seb thinks it's Anna that's done this, but it's actually Sally.
Yeah.
The twins get taken away, put into care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Sally's involved in this because of her going out with, or married, I don't know what their status was at that point, to Tim, Faye's dad. So she was a bit of a nosy mum, wasn't she? But she had her heart in the right place.
Well, it's difficult to find fault with somebody reporting a woman to social services because she's unconscious.
I think probably you're right. I think
children.
Sofa. I think she was on the floor when she fell. She just falls wherever the gravity takes her.
It's inappropriate. Seb falls off the ladder.
Speaking of falling,
not the wagon.
No.
A literal ladder at work. He ends up in hospital. This is when Phelan was whispering in his ear, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Abi confesses to Anna that this is when he might have HIV. Something important, really, to tell people.
Yeah, I think probably it was a case of Abi being sort of having to tell the doctors, yeah, you might want to know this quite crucial fact if you're going to be treating my son.
Yes. She tells Seb, and he gets upset, asks her to leave. But before she does, she stirs things up by telling the police that Anna threatened her, and then this backs up the claims that it was Anna who pushed Seb off the ladder.
Oh, that was funny because we loved to hate Anna Windass, didn't we? And so any kind of, even though we knew it wasn't her, any kind of ammunition that would have the police come knocking on the door, yes, McKinnon. Like,
this
yeah,
is
go
all
for it.
just a real testament to Sally Carman's charisma and screen presence, because this is really like, you know, the story is this woman is a horrible scummy drug addict who can't look after her kids, and then Anna comes along and like helps her, and we're like, Anna's such an annoying bitch.
These kids can have more than fish finger rocket sandwiches or whatever it was. But yes, and Sally, yeah, and this was all in like the space of 8 episodes. I think it's incredible that all of this went on, and at that time,
I don't think at this time we were like, oh yeah, I like this woman, but we were like, she's great, she's magnetic. There's something about this character.
There are some actors and actresses that come on the show, and then
make a big impression.
Very short amount of time, it's like Corrie needs to keep hold of this one and never ever let them go, because there's just something about.
And it's not something you can really explain or.
No, not at all.
Or replicate or quantify.
There's lots of great actors and actresses
also,
on the show, but there's just some that are just like, yes, keep this one.
It doesn't also necessarily translate to everybody feeling the same way.
No, absolutely not.
I don't know, but I would say that a lot of people share that opinion, because that's why the character was brought back.
Yeah, so yeah, and she has won a few awards most recently as well, hasn't she, for all her work last year. But yeah, definitely. When she left this year, I was like, oh, I really, really hope to see her again. I just knew straight away that they had something special there, and luckily 2018 was the year of the triumphant Abi return. That was also the year when we got our current cat, who we called Abi, and this was when we were at both times we've had cats, we've just spent hours, haven't we, listing every name that we possibly could, and like,
unfortunately, because we normally get, well, we've only had 2 cats, but we get female.
Yeah.
And then I went to school, a all girls school, so I have a huge list of people's names I hate.
Yeah, can't call my cat after that cow at school when I was 15.
You obviously have very many children's names.
Well, yeah, being a teacher,
that remind you of actual people, so it's quite difficult to pick a name.
Yeah.
That isn't, yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I don't think that I'd taught an Abi at that point, but yeah, we just kind of go through names of, you know, people from books, from TV shows, from films, from anything, and we were going through the Coronation Street names, and we were like, oh, what was that character that came in last year? Because it was early of 2018 that we got our cat Abi.
I don't remember us naming her after Abi.
I think it came in a conversation with. We can't name it after a major Coronation Street character.
I don't remember us ever talking about naming our cat.
I think we did, because our last cat, Safi, we named after Safi. Yeah, absolutely fabulous. You might be wrong, but in my head, it was just like, oh, that character that was in it for 8 episodes, that's quite a nice name, isn't it?
Let's name our cat after a drug addict. Well, it's safe because cats can't do drugs.
They can't, and compared to our last cat, she's had a lot fewer vet's visits, hasn't she? Touch wood. Anyway, so Abi gets back to the street in early 2018 after a completely failed stint in rehab. However, she says to Seb it was successful, and she's been put on a rehousing scheme. She's like, hey, I'm back on the street. I'm back on the straight and narrow.
They need to give them actual certificates. Okay. You are now clean.
Absolutely. So she says, right, I need your help. We need to get the twins back. They've been taken away. They've been into foster care. Can you help me, please? But he finds out, pretty sharpish, that she's lied about the rehab, and she steals from Eileen as well. She steals her money. So he's obviously disgusted by this. But he still agrees to go off with her anyway, because this is around the time when he's got Phelan on his tail. You know, it was when Phelan showed him his gun and said, hey, this is the gun that I killed what was his name? Luke with. And Seb's like, I need to get out of here. Mum, can you look after me, please? So they disappear off somewhere. But it doesn't last. The relationship soon deteriorates again, and Abi is soon homeless. So, back again that April, breaks into Eileen's number 11 to have a kip on her sofa. She's a bit knackered.
Why doesn't Eileen know that there's a lady on her sofa?
I can't remember. I think she was supposed to be away or something at that time. She was going through some feeling issues. This is around Easter, 2018. In fact, I may even say perhaps this was when they were away at the old lighthouse.
This is
maybe.
when. So she's having a kip on the sofa while Eileen's seagull scamping Pat into
Possibly, I don't know. Anyway, Eileen, bless her, takes pity on young Abi and allows her to stay for a few days. Hooray! That May, she gets a job as a mechanic in the garage. And this was very progressive for Coronation Street, wasn't it? I remember thinking this was quite cool at the time, having a lady mechanic.
Women on Coronation Street have always worked with their hands.
That's true. Factory
Skilled
girl.
labour.
Butting her rolls in the cafe. And now mechanic. I think it's awesome that they've given her this job.
Yes.
And it is International Women's Day today, so let's celebrate this.
Let's celebrate women mechanics.
So she was working for Tyrone and Kevin. Partly, to be fair, it is because she just wants to have a sleep in one of the cars because she ain't got anywhere else to live. But by July, she's moved back into number 11 again. Phelan's history by this point. Eileen's gone as well because she does a little runner after. I can't remember where she goes. Does she go down to Bristol to live with Nicola for a bit, possibly? But anyway, Abby's moved in there. I think Seb's probably there as well. And she even lies to the social services that it's her house because this is when she's trying to get the twins back. And I think it's one of those classic Corrie scenes where somebody's coming around to view the house and the person who doesn't want them to move in there does everything they can to put them off. I think that's what happened, if my memory serves me correctly. Steve, meanwhile, getting a little bit concerned about Abi living in Eileen's home because Steve is Eileen's boss. And eventually he tells her about it. After he sees Abi being taken into the police station one time. He thinks it's because she's back on the drugs, but actually, she's just found some drugs in a customer's car. She didn't even try to inject / snort / lick them or anything. Rub them over her teeth. I don't know when you do drugs.
Stick them in your ear.
Yeah, exactly. No, she handed them into the police like a good citizen. So Steve feels a bit guilty about this, and he and Tracy sort the house out before Eileen gets back. She's still very furious to find Abby's living there, throws her out, but Steve is able to convince Eileen to take her back again. Very nice for him and her, I guess. Abby, after this point, gets a bit of a friendship going with Tracy, doesn't she? And I don't think we've seen very much of this recently. Abby's kind of been a bit friends with Tracy for a bit, but
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. Once Sally came along, the Coronation Street characters are only allowed like one friend at a time if they're very lucky, and Sally is filling that role at the moment for Abby. But no, her and Tracy were best buddies in mid-2018. And this hacks Beth right off as well, because Beth was Tracy's friend at the time, wasn't she? But there was a story going on around that time as well where Abby kisses Steve in August. And this is in the run-up to his and Tracy's wedding. And I remember thinking, I remember there being reports in the papers or, online news sites at the time showing pictures of Steve and Abby kissing. And I was like, no, I don't want that. I don't want Abby and Steve to get together. And we were also big proponents of the Steve and Tracy relationship, weren't we? We wanted them to get married, and I thought this was possibly Abby was going to lure Steve away from this, but it was nothing. They both agreed to forget about it, and then after that point she got a lot more involved in helping Tracy prepare the wedding. Now, this is also the season of the free pass that Tracy granted Steve. Remember that one?
Yes. What was it for? A spa?
A spa day or something. It was a bit of a weird misunderstanding that I don't think in real life anybody would get the wrong end of the stick about. But anyway, yeah, Tracy...
No, it's like the most random thing.
Yeah, it feels like it came from the pen of a writer, that one, rather than the actions of a functioning human being. But anyway, Tracy...
Are you saying writers aren't functioning human beings? Excuse me.
Oh, I apologise. I didn't mean to imply that.
Good.
Yeah, Tracy says to Steve... Right, we're getting married. Here's a free pass. I can't even remember how it happened.
She left it out, and he found it. They never had a conversation.
No, yeah, that's right.
It was written down, and he was like, "Brilliant."
Yeah, I can sleep with whoever I want. I don't really get the what I mean. Everyone's different, aren't they? But if you're about to get married, why would somebody just say, "Oh, I get one last chance to"?
It's also kind of hilarious to think that like this voucher meant anything to anybody except Steve. Like, what's he gonna do? Take it to Abi, and she goes, "Oh, free pass from Tracy, brilliant.
Yeah.
I'll take this to Tracy," and
Kind of
hands
puts
it
it
into
down her
her,
top.
and then Tracy has to like give Abi £500 or something.
Well, he wants to use it on Abi first, but then he realises that it might be a bit of a trap to test his loyalties.
He's not that stupid.
In
then.
any case, he ends up sleeping with Leanne.
Whoops.
Yeah, and I think that must be where Ollie came from, because that's that great scene where she invites Mystery Man into the flat, and yeah, it turns out that
God
it's him.
forbid he ever plays Monopoly and gets a get out of jail free card and thinks
I think that's
use
real.
it.
Anyway, by the time the wedding day comes, Tracy is convinced that Steve and Abi were having an affair. And she tries to frame her by damaging Michelle's car. So this was like Michelle had a car in at the garage. Abi had been working on it, and Tracy's like, I'm gonna wreck this up, smash it up with a hammer or something, get that Abi accused of it. But eventually she discovers that Abi's just been helping Steve with his first dancing routine, though.
So Abi is a skilled dancer.
Apparently so. Apparently we don't see much of that, do we?
She's a dance teacher, a mechanic.
Yeah. Actually, we did see her having a bit of a bop with Dean on a Sunday night, didn't we? When he leant in for that kiss.
I just remember her waving her hands at bubbles.
What? When?
He was blowing bubbles, and she was like a cat going, "Oh wow, I love these."
It's in the name, isn't it? It's Abi. It's a female.
See, I've never done drugs, but it looks like great fun to enhance bubble blowing activities. And the other thing is, where do they get them from? Do you when you go to your dealer, are they like, right, here's your drugs, but what would you like?
Here's your sniff.
You can have a kaleidoscope or bubbles.
Well, yeah, when you go to a drug dealer and ask for some blow, actually, it's the bubbles and the little thing that you blow through. maybe it is just like in bubble form, like liquid LSD or something.
I can't imagine how that would work.
I don't know. As we
Neither
said,
do we.
I don't know very
Neither
much
do I.
about drugs. Not really. So anyway, McDonald's go off on
Seems
honeymoon.
too expensive.
This
Ask me.
I forgot to write it down here, but this damaging the car is what led to that accident where
Is this where Leanne gets run over?
This is where Leanne gets run over backwards. Yeah, classic.
And is this where that guy gets killed?
Yes, it is. What's his face?
Dr. Ali.
Ronan.
Yes, Ronan.
Ronan. He pulls out the fence post, doesn't he? Yeah.
That you cannot
Great
convince
stuff.
me. Marvel and Coronation Street cannot convince me that Ronan is a scary name.
Oh no, in my head it's just Ronan Keating.
Yeah, exactly. He's lovely. Ronan Keating would never do anything horrible to anybody.
No, exactly.
He thinks life is a roller coaster.
McDonald's are away on honeymoon. Abi is accused of damaging the car, and even Kevin doesn't believe her, which earns him a punch in the gob from Abi.
She's also a fighter.
Yes.
And a lover.
Yes. She doesn't love him yet.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, she will do.
She likes his rants and pants.
That comes later too. So she can't work at the garage anymore after assaulting the gaffer. So she gets a job on Streetcars Switch for a little bit, and then ends up getting herself hospitalised after a particularly heavy drinking session.
What? How?
She just drinks a lot.
Did she hurt herself?
Drinks herself into a stupor. Don't ask any questions. I don't remember.
Well,
she just does. She just does.
I thought that English people were impervious to hospitalisations from drinking problems.
Well, Weatherfield people are certainly not impervious to hospitalisations. They seem to go there every other week, don't they? It's one of the characters either. This is around the time that Abi decides to put Charla and Lecter up for adoption because she goes around. I really love this scene. It's heartbreaking, wasn't it? She goes around the foster kids' house and she sees that they're there playing on their climbing frames because the family that have adopted that have fostered them, are loaded. Live in a bloody mansion with a wall outside.
Great big play pen.
Yes, and Abi has a massive cry outside of it when she realises that they're probably better off with them. So she says, right, they can adopt them. I wash my hands of them almost. It's for their own good. Seb freaks out at this and smashes up Preston's petals. It's kind of in retaliation or whatever for finding out this, and he blames Tracy's actions with the car on this, and Abi's subsequent down spiraling. He's like, because of everything Tracy did here, Abi's me mum has now gone off the rails. So I'm gonna smash up her shop, and that'll teach her a lesson. But Abi Good mum. Takes the blame for him. Is that a good mum? I don't know. He
Well,
maybe
that's
should
what
have
Max. That's what
know,
David and Shona are doing, and everyone says that they're bad.
Cover up for your child. If they're a crim, cover up for them. Just lie to the police. Say it was you. So she gets sentenced to 16 weeks in prison. Meanwhile, what?
Steve should have given her the get out of jail free card. That he
Yeah,
got
for
from
the Monopoly game. You're right. Would have made sense. So meanwhile, Seb's deciding that he's going to adopt the twins himself. Although he was told that by doing this, he'd have to cut all ties with his mum.
See, this is really interesting because I don't know much about fostering or adoption, but I would have thought that this is a very extreme case where the biological parent is like literally not allowed any contact, and I don't really know why, because she was very neglectful, and that was obviously a form of abuse, but she didn't actually physically harm the children, did she? Like, why is there...
I mean... I don't think that she did, but I guess that,
Why can't she have supervised visits? I don't understand. There must be a reason, but I would have thought that it always just seemed like, this is very interesting. It seems like something that you would do to a parent who had, actually physically hurt or
I mean, neglect is still
neglect
abuse, isn't it? It's one of the 4 types of abuse I could tell you about, but I won't now. So I don't know whether it's just a standard. If somebody's adopted, then that's it. I guess when they grew up, they could have then chosen to seek out Abi.
The 4 types of abuse are physical, mental, neglect, and Backstreet Boys. Having to listen to Backstreet Boys.
Thanks for that.
That's not true, because I like Backstreet Boys.
You do, yeah. They had some bangers.
Who's the worst band in the world?
You have a think about that.
Bewitched.
What? How Bewitched are amazing. Thank you very much. You have a think. I'm sure you can come up with somebody good, bad, whatever. Anyway, I didn't like the idea
Vanilla
of
Ice.
Yeah, all of them in Vanilla Ice. I didn't like the idea of Seb adopting the twins. I just wanted Abi to have her kids back because although she was a really, 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 really awful mum to them.
No, she was bad. Yeah,
she was just cute having them all together.
Reading this all back is very difficult to know why do I like the character of Abi.
She's just very complex, isn't she?
Mess.
She's a total mess. She really is. Anyway, so Seb's kind of going off on, I'm going to adopt the kids. Meanwhile, obviously, Abi is still in prison, where she at first is put in a room with Marcia, which is an old cellmate from when she'd been in prison before.
That's Audrey's old boyfriend.
No, it's not. Oh yeah, that's same name. I don't think it's the same person.
No, I think it's
good
really
reference.
Different.
Anyway, she tries to get her back on the drugs. Marcia does to Abi. Abi's like, no, thank you very much. Can I have a new cell? And what do you know? She gets placed in a room with Sally Metcalf.
Not so high and mighty
former
now,
mayor
Sally.
of Weatherfield, who was in there having been falsely accused of fraud. They become close, despite the earlier kind of animosities between them. Yeah. And one day, just to help her out, Abi gets to punch Sally in the face just to try and delay her court hearing. That's quite funny. I like it when Abi gives a bit of a punch. I'm no supporter of physical violence normally, but she delays. She's a plucky
Sally's
young thing.
Court hearing so Sophie can find more evidence.
Yes, that's the reason. Yeah, Sally's like, I can't go to court today. Sophie's just on the cusp of cracking this case because can't trust the cops to do it in Weatherfield. So Abi helps her in the only way that she knows how, by bopping her on the nose. However, the plan is found out and Sally is sent down.
It was foolproof.
Yeah. Back to you, Gemma. 2019.
Well,
what's gone on?
Abby's out of prison now, and Seb doesn't want to have anything to do with her.
No.
Sally gets released and invites Abi to stay at number 4 with her and Tim. Abi is struggling to find work. She ends up with Peter. Peter, do you remember? Shagging and shagging on Peter's boat.
There were lots of times in Abby's story it was like, no, don't go there. Don't make the character do that. And luckily, none of them have been particularly long-lasting. But yeah, putting him with Peter Barlow, no. But yeah, fagging and shagging I think that was a phrase that you coined, is what they got. Yeah, I think that was you.
I thought it was you.
I don't
I'm
think
not
so.
taking any.
That's what they get up to on his boat, because he's like fixing up a boat on the factory forecourt or something, and he's going to go sailing off around the world.
Well, she helps him with it, and then that involves also sleeping with him.
Yes.
Helps her keep her mind off of the ongoing custody battle for the twins. But they know it's a fling. They're not going to start dating.
No.
Is this when Peter was still being an alcoholic? 'Cause that explains a lot.
He's always an alcoholic.
Well,
He was on the rebound from Carla as well, I think.
Carla
and trying
bought
to
him the
punish
boat.
himself. Oh, yes, she did, didn't she?
And then
I'd
Simon
forgotten
burned
this.
it down.
Spoilers, we're going to get there.
Oh, I'm sorry. In court, Abby says the twins would be better off with their new family. The adoption order is granted. The Franklins are allowed one last meeting. And then they get taken away for good.
Except that's by no means the last time we see them.
But not, yeah. Peter invites Abby on a work trip to Kefalonia on his boat, which angers Simon because he wanted to go sailing with his dad. And then Peter says, all right then, I won't invite Abby anymore. But she finds out before...
Yeah, sorry, my notes don't make sense then.
I don't understand this.
She doesn't like
Somebody
it. She
gets
hits
drunk. I don't know who does.
Abby, probably.
Either of them, both. Neither.
Yeah,
the
sorry.
boat gets destroyed with fire.
It was Roy that set the boat on fire, wasn't it? It was
sleepwalking.
Odd.
Simon was inside it, but everyone thinks it was Abby. Carla tries to cover up for Roy by deleting the CCTV files of him doing it, but then Peter gets her to publicly apologise to Abby, who gets... oh, God. Abby gets exonerated because Kathy says, I saw Abby in town the night of the fire. So there you go.
That's how that ends.
That's the crime.
Boat fire.
Of the
thinks
century.
it's Abby. Not Abby, because Kathy was out on the town.
Kathy was out on the town?
Yeah. And
With
she
Abby?
saw Abby. No, she just saw her there. Abby's a right rave. Kathy's a right rave. She's out on the town every night. That's why we never see her in
That's
the
why
programme.
she doesn't want to go to Cornwall's. Nightlife's very bad. Abby is taken on as a valet at streetcars, which makes things worse for her and Seb because he wanted the job.
Oh, no.
The factory roof collapses. What?
As it does.
It's one of those things. And Abby rescues everybody from listening to Kirk talking about curly whirlies or what's-its or whatever.
Oh, I think it was mini
bagging
cheddars.
on about.
Mini cheddars.
The events draw Abby and Seb close again, and then...
I can't remember whether this was like the first instance of Abby being the hero. It feels like she's been in the show a long time, and she seems to be rescuing people on at least a 6 monthly basis.
I think that the writer's just gone, this character is just a chaos magnet. How can we redeem her? Let's just have her pull people out of a burning building.
Where was she in Coronation Street, though, eh? Oh, yeah, she was putting a gun in Corey's face.
Yeah, whoops. So Seb and Abby get closer again because she's so heroic and everyone's like, Seb, why are you so mean to your mum? Like that. Abby vows to turn her life around by getting Brian to tutor her in English and maths, which, as we all know, are the two subjects you have to get a good mark in if you want to work in one of the many shops on Coronation Street. What is she used to English and maths for? Is that Kevin's like, sorry, if you want to marry me, you've got to have at least a C in maths and English? Because I don't.
Well, so she's got to be able to read the quantities when she's making his tea on the recipe, hasn't she?
It says here 2 fish fillets and there's one of me and one of you. That makes sense. Hero time again. Abby stops a man who has broken into number 13. You keep writing, whose house is that?
Kevin's house.
Okay, I don't remember. Sorry, I don't know the numbers of everybody's house on Coronation Street. I'm going to just admit that. Controversial.
It's alright. It's alright.
I don't think I'm the only one who doesn't know. So that's why I'm asking.
This is the scene. I can't remember
Some things I know, I don't know. So I keep my mouth shut because I think I should know this. And so everybody else knows this. But I don't genuinely think that most people know.
I've only got a bit better in the last, I'm going to say 3 or 4 years at knowing who lives at which number. Like, you know that Ken lives at number 1. Everyone knows that one.
Everyone knows that.
And it was always number 3, that's Emily Bishop's house. I didn't have to think about that one because she lived there for about 40 years. And I was like, oh, who lives there now?
People are so rude.
I think I know now. But yeah, some guy breaks into 13. I can't remember who. And that was when Jack was hiding under the bed. And it led to Kevin running across the cobbles and doing a little fall.
He did a little fall, but
That was
he's
a great
alright.
scene. Abby saves the day.
Everyone's
back.
happy. Kevin gives her a job back at the garage. And then this is when we have Kev's rants and bants, where he's just moaning all the time. And she
He's a
thinks
great
it's hilarious. And as we both know, somebody ranting can be quite erotic. Because that's why you love me, isn't it?
Yeah, I
I'm
love
always
it.
moaning and on about something.
Well, ranting can be quite entertaining. That's like what we try and do on the podcast every so often, don't we? They could have released a Kevin podcast.
It would have been really funny, but I just don't think. I think Kevin, I'm going to say this, probably has some very problematic views.
Maybe you're right. And you're not just talking about his fashion sense, are you?
While all this is going on, Abby is helping Seb investigate the mysterious goings-on of the Sparkle Lounge, which is the human trafficker nail
salon.
bar where Alina is being forced to work as a slave.
Yeah.
Kevin starts to develop feelings for Abby, and she agrees to go for a pint with him at the Rovers, not realising that it's supposed to be a date. And she's also been secretly recording him moaning about stuff and uploading them to her Kev the Crank blog. This just sounds so stupid.
That is quite a good thing to do against Kevin, because he doesn't know what the internet is, does he?
No, I don't think so.
He lives a very analogue life, does our Kev. So he could have he could be the star of the internet, can't he?
He could be like YouTube's
Mr.
most
2019.
famous.
Yeah, and Kevin would have no idea.
Coronation Street should do a story where somebody ends up as a meme. You know, like overly attached girlfriend and that success baby.
Yeah.
That'd be really funny. He finds out. He doesn't see the funny side, funnily enough. Fires Abby, but then Sophie says... This doesn't make any sense.
Makes total
Sophie
sense.
says, this is when she was working at the
Maybe.
at the garage for some inexplicable reason, because of her clipboard holding talents, says, this could be good for business. You being known as a ranty old bastard is going to bring people in to get their car serviced.
It did though, once or twice.
You're a local celebrity, and so he gives her job back, Abby, and says, carry on doing this page. And she obviously hasn't.
Assume she is. Still uploading to this day.
She's still studying for her GCSEs. She gets drunk the night before. She goes in to her exam hungover, takes the exam. Don't know what happens.
You wait until she gets her results.
Sally accuses Abby of only being interested in Kevin because of his recent inheritance. This is when Debbie comes back, very briefly, to say Auntie Flo's died or whatever.
Auntie Vi.
And here's some cash for you, because getting a bloody lottery ticket wasn't enough.
Yeah, the lottery funds run dry. He's going to get another one at some point when Bill dies.
That's true, yeah.
I don't know why they made it Auntie Vi died and not Bill. That would have made a lot more sense, as Peter Armitage had sadly passed away by that point. But never mind.
So Sally says, like, oh, you're a gold digger, and then she gets a plate of spaghetti bolognese over her head. Abby and Kevin continue to get closer, but Kevin overhears her comparing him to a safe, boring hatchback, which is a car.
No one wants to be accused of that.
What kind of car would you want to be?
I don't know cars.
You'd just want to be a purple Ford Fiesta. That's your favourite sort of car, isn't it?
That's my first car.
When I think of you, I do think of purple Ford Fiestas. And me, I don't even have it. I've never owned a car in my life.
No.
So I'm like...
What sort of car would you be there? You know more about cars than I do.
I don't know. I'd be like a car that looks good, and then you drive it home, and then it's full of rust, and like the exhaust falls off the back, and actually the wheels are made of cardboard.
Yeah. Well, I'd just be one of those boring safe cars, wouldn't I?
Well, yeah. Well, Kevin took offence to that.
Yeah. Skoda or something.
A Skoda.
Volvo. I don't know. I'm just saying car brands are bad.
Oh, a Tesla. You could be a Tesla. You're so smart.
Self-driving. I do drive myself.
That's true. He turns her down when she goes in for a kiss because he's so offended that he's a hatchback. And she ends the night snogging the face off of Ray Crosby.
Ray Crosby. The evil, very, very Mancunian overlord of the bistro at that point.
The criminal mastermind.
Yes. and massive pervert and sex pest. That's right.
That's right.
Yet another step
move
in Abby's story. I was like, no, don't put them together. Don't make her do that. But anyway, it doesn't last long, does she? So, early 2020.
The story of Abby is like watching a mouse chewing an electric wire over and over again and going, you're going to hurt yourself, why are you doing this?
Yeah, it is, it really is. So, early 2020, we're on the eve of the pandemic here. Abby finds out that she gets the GCSE results, doesn't she? She got a C in English, B in maths.
That's good.
Nice, sorted. Well, I got a B in maths, so me and Abby's maths skills about the same level.
Yeah, I really didn't deserve a B in maths.
And she also saves the day once more by putting out a fire at number 5. That's Gemma and Chesney's house. Well done. Well,
I only know that
job.
because I remember the fire and thinking, don't rescue them.
Minnie Coldwell's old house.
Let the children die.
Anyway, she's properly going out with Ray Crosby here. She thinks she's hit the jackpot because she's got this rich businessman on her arm. Kevin is increasingly jealous at this point.
Yeah, because he's a hatchback, but Ray Crosby is like a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ferrari.
They're good cars. Abby finally learns out what a massive sex pest Ray is after Bethany and Alia tell her about his behaviour towards them, you know. And so she has this great scene on Valentine's night on 2020 where there's, I'm going to say some Valentine's event at the bistro, where she stands up and she gets these 3 women who are past victims of Ray to... They can't say anything, can they? Because they've been gagged. They've had NDAs that they're about to sign. But Abby says these people, he was a massive sex pest and pervert too. He's been told that they're not allowed to say anything. But look at whose establishment you are all dining in, everybody. And then she goes off and blows up his car. And this is amazing. This is why I love Abby. She blows up people's cars and walks away from the explosion like she's in some kind of action movie.
Didn't she laugh?
She did. She walks away. The car's exploding in the background behind her, and she's just going, ha ha! And she's got brilliant hair because she's just come out of the bistro.
Doesn't she like she reacts like, this is great.
Yeah, she does. I think she has a little start at the explosion.
Yeah.
And she tosses her head back. That was one of my favourite Abby moments ever.
To me, I like that better than walking off and pretending that you're too cool. Because, if you're too cool to care about setting an explosion, why did you set it in the first place?
Yeah, where's the fun in it? Revel in it. Yeah. Like Abby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Kevin...
If you're, as a human being, if you can't revel in destruction, then I'm afraid you are... alien to the rest of us, because that's what humans do.
So Kevin has to provide an alibi for Abby's whereabouts when the car was torched. And,
consequences.
Yeah, so she quite likes him for that. They end up having a snog and a bit of a bonk. So nice one, Kevin. You're in there. Ray, however, has managed to get himself some dash cam footage of her stealing the car.
She steals it and then
she steals it outside the bistro. Yeah, she does. She drives it off somewhere.
I say blow it up in situ.
So he then lures her to the Chariot Square Hotel, best hotel in Weatherfield, and makes out that all you need to do, Abby, is sleep with me one more time. And I'll keep quiet about it. I won't tell anyone that you stole my car. However, he's just trying to trick her. He photographs her getting undressed, sends her on her way, and then...
he's just humiliating her.
Basically, yeah, because he's nasty.
He's like, you're disgusting.
He
so
shows
horrible.
Kevin...
I wouldn't want to sleep with you anyway.
Yeah, he shows Kevin all the footage, dash cam footage, the getting undressed footage, I think, everything, and says, right... I will keep quiet about this, that your girlfriend is a massive car stealer and torturer, if you sign the garage over to me. And this was the very beginning, I think, of Ray's quest to take over the whole of that side of the street across 2020. Kevin has got no choice. Tyrone's not so happy about it because he partially owns the garage as well. But yeah, so Ray now owns Webster's garage.
And it all turns out to be for no reason at all.
It does. Sadly, that storyline didn't really work out in the way that Corrie had wanted it to, but never mind. Right, more sibling stuff now here, which is what we call the Seb twins. Abby finds out that their adopted parents are taking them to Australia.
No.
Sad. It's because they knew that there was this incoming pandemic, didn't they, I guess?
Well, yeah, if you go to... no, it's New Zealand.
Isolate. Oh, yeah, New Zealand's the place to go in 2020, isn't it? Yeah. So she says... She arranges to say goodbye to them with Seb, but she bottles it. So sad. A month or so later, they arrange another meet-up, but she can't go because... she's only gone and got herself trapped under a car engine that's fallen on her. Look at that. She's been a mechanic for years, and this happens to be the day that she gets pinned to the ground by a tumbling car engine. What are the chances of that, eh? So, anyway, that sucks. She's taken into hospital.
My arm.
Yeah, taken into hospital. While she's there, she pinches a bottle of morphine, which Peter sees because he happens to be there for reasons.
Well, like the
liver reasons, probably.
The nurse who's dispensing the drugs kind of leaves it out like a touch shot.
Kind of his fault, and we don't find out if there's any ramifications for that, no. So this starts a period of Abby's history that, again, I wasn't too happy about. I was a little bit on edge of this, with Peter kind of moving back in on Abby territory. And Carla's also a bit concerned about this at the time because he spent an awful lot of time with her.
Yeah, because they're both addicts, aren't they? And he's helping her.
Addicts together.
He's trying to help her battle her demons, isn't he?
Yes. But Carla thinks that they're having an affair again. He is, however, able to persuade Abby to go to addiction meetings. Debbie also...
Not diction meetings.
It's got beautiful diction, both of them. This Queen's English, yeah. Debbie also suspects Abby's messing Kevin around, so Abby has to come clean about this addiction coming back. When he says that...
Debbie, you just be like...
Debbie is like...
Never talk to me
She said it this week. She's like, I knew from the start that
Kevin,
our Kev, that this girl wasn't good for you. But anyway, bless him. When Kevin finds out about all this addiction stuff, he says, never mind, love, still love you. But he does start to worry a little bit about what this could all mean for Jack. You know, is he safe? He's got this person who's clearly got drugs and alcohol issues, being his new mum. And anyway, a week or so later, she makes a pass at Peter, but still, Kevin's still able to forgive her. Surprised that he's letting her go after all that he's letting her go, that he's getting mad at her for this whole Imran thing. Abby has another hero moment mid-2010. She traps Jeff in Sally's conservatory during the wedding to Tim to stop him spoiling the day. Excellent moment. Well done, Abby.
It's like a reverse rescue.
Yes, well, it was very much like when Jenny trapped Tracy in the factory, wasn't it? So that she couldn't go and spoil it. Abby starts to become a little bit suspicious towards the end of the year about Debbie's mysterious business venture, because she's back this year, isn't she? And she's like, I'm just hanging around doing work on your dining room table, Kev, on my laptop. Don't ask any questions.
I am a Turkish business tycoon.
Yeah.
But I can do it all online now.
And Abby's like, what are you doing here? Why aren't you going away? Well, it turns out that she's actually working with Ray Crosby to buy up half the street and to build a massive hotel complex there. Shocker. Abby organises the residents in a protest against the development, part of which involves her commandeering a digger and knocking the power out on the street. Great Abby moment, swinging around with a digger. That must have been quite fun to film. And so she knocks the power out, and that sets the stage for some of the events on the 60th anniversary, like Scary Jeff creeping around, and also Faye bashing Adam over the noggin in the bistro.
Yeah.
So well done, Abby. You played a key role in the 60th anniversary there.
So in the beginning of 2021, she leads a street protest on the top of a float. But Roy accuses her of only wanting to do it because she has a personal vendetta against Ray, rather than focusing on the development.
Yeah, she's like, he wants to buy up the street, and he's a massive pervert and a sex pest. Remember, everyone. And Roy's like, that's not what we're here for.
Well, Roy should just take his allies where he can get them.
Exactly. It was a massive protest. It was the whole streets, or whole half of the streets being demolished, and about 4 or 5 people agreed to join the protest in it. So
one of whom doesn't, Abby doesn't even have any she could go tomorrow.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Abby manages to capture footage of Ray chatting to a woman from the council that he's bribing to go along with the development.
Great scene.
I like that. Yeah, that was good.
Hiding behind the bar there at Chariot Square.
Tell you what, how many scenes have we had? Like, if you want to spy on somebody and record them, or interrupt a meeting, Chariot Square Hotel is where you do that.
That is the place to go, isn't it? Yeah.
Everyone
thinks that that's where they can go to have their secret meetings.
No.
But no.
Other places, people overhear what you're saying by accident, but Chariot Square Hotel seems to be the place you go to spy on people. And they don't have a reputation for it, but they really should do.
Yeah.
So, she tells Ray that she's got this, and he either needs to confess that he tried to rape Faye, or
Yeah, that happened. I didn't mention that.
she's going to release the video. So he spikes a drink. Wow. Imagine what would what people think
if
about
only
now.
she had had an anti-spiking lid.
She need a lid.
You would never have got in.
Been able
Wouldn't
to
have known
do
what to do.
He spikes a drink. She collapses. Debbie finds her, takes her to the hospital. When she returns to the street, Abby gets told by Debbie that she's killed Ray.
This just got a bit silly, didn't it?
But she actually hasn't.
She hasn't killed Ray. No, she's
harbouring him because he's going to flee to Turkey in exchange for signing over all of his businesses to Debbie. And this is the sort of thing you write in English when you're 12. Don't you think?
It was exciting at the time. It just reading it back is like, did they really do that? But I remember when Debbie confesses to Abby that she's killed Ray, and it's like, oh my gosh! And then it's like, oh no, don't make Debbie a murderer. I really like Debbie, and I wanted to stay in the show. So fortunately, she didn't.
The thing about Debbie is that she's quite. I think she's got her head screwed on, right?
She does. She's very canny.
But I know what I'll do. I'll tell everyone I'm a murderer.
Tell everybody.
You
just
know,
Abby.
yeah, but it just looking.
Yeah.
So Debbie plans to double cross Ray, and he finds out that she's going to do that. And he's like, I can't believe that this plan. You're not going to stick to this amazing plan that we've both thought of. So he chucks her and Kevin in a fridge.
Not just any fridge.
The biggest fridge there is, the shaggin' fridge.
The shaggin' fridge for Michelle and Robert's favourite meeting place, yeah.
So Debbie and Kevin have to sit in a fridge, which is where I feel like I am at the moment. Because it's absolutely freezing in here.
Got the hot blanket on, darling.
It's not... My feet are still absolutely frozen.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so Kevin and Debbie in the fridge together. Abby rescues them.
We should have just had like a tally chart of great Abby scene and also Abby rescues somebody. Is anyone still keeping count? This should be a drinking game.
4 or 5 times she's rescued people.
Yeah.
Ray gets arrested and Abby proposes to Kevin.
I think this is possibly the last time that Abby's rescued somebody.
Yeah,
I think she's overdue a rescuing.
Yeah.
I don't think she's in a fit state for it at the moment, though, but it's one of my favourite things about Abby. If somebody's in trouble, Abby will... Because she just wades in and is like...
She has no fear. She's the only physical heroine that we've had on Coronation Street. Like, lots of women are very emotionally... they rescue... And they're saviours and they're support people emotionally. But Abby, I don't think very many people, women, certainly not to the extent that Abby has.
What about Shona going down the drain on Coronation Street week?
Didn't she just go down the drain and go, why are you down there? Can you come back up?
Is it?
No, she did. She had to take Jenny, didn't she? Because her arm was hurt.
Yeah.
For some reason. I can't remember.
Well, when you fall down a sinkhole.
How would you get a woman up a ladder who couldn't hold her own weight?
No, I think that she just
Just encouraged her.
Yeah,
you can do it.
She teased her up.
Come on, up, keep going.
Come on, Jenny. Come on. Anyway,
where am I?
We're here.
Abby rescues them.
From the
proposes
fridge
to Kevin, and then it turns out that she's not like the other women. She doesn't like weddings or dresses, and Sally says, "I'll do the wedding. I'll do the ceremony. I'll be a registrar."
Weird.
For some reason.
That was a great dress trying on scene. Brilliant Abby scene when she walks into the bistro with her big bobber boots, doesn't she? And it's like, hey, what's this? Oh, this isn't really me, is it? And Debbie's there looking amazingly glamorous with big sleeves and everything. And Abby's like, this isn't me. Although, interestingly, when they do end up getting married late last year, she was still able to rock a pretty nice wedding dress, wasn't she?
Wear whatever you like. That's what I say.
Just don't get married in the nude.
If you want, get married in the nude if you want
Not
to.
before the
Don't
watershed.
invite me, I don't want to see it. Abby supports Seb as he starts dating Nina.
Oh, Seb.
But
there's very little Seb, actually, in our discussion of Abby's character profile, isn't there?
Well, they weren't talking to each other for a long time.
They weren't talking to each other for a long time, and most of 2020, Seb barely appeared.
She's worried that he's not going to fit in with Nina's gothy mates. Then, on the eve of
They
Abby's...
both like Cradle of Filth. What more do you need?
On the eve of Abby's wedding, Seb and Nina get attacked and he just dies. A few days later.
He just dies.
Just dies.
A few days later.
Then Abby gets...
That sucks for Abby.
This is like...
It's kind of sad.
She gets upset about this.
Just a bit, yeah. Yeah.
She gets frustrated with Nina because Nina can't remember what happened. And then she kind of blames her a little bit for the attack and starts kind of focusing on the way that Nina looks, because that was the motivation for the crime. You were asking for it dressed like that, kind of thing. She's furious to find out that the person who then gets accused of doing it, Corrie, is allowed to walk free. Seb has his funeral. Asha and Abi conspire to drug Corrie to get his phone so they can find evidence to that he's committed the crime.
Yeah, because Abby goes after Corrie with a bottle, doesn't she, after the funeral? Because he shows up and kind of smarms around there. She's going to bash him over the head with a bottle, and Asha stops her and said, no, let's have a better plan.
They get caught.
This. Yes.
So it didn't work. He gets granted bail at his hearing, and he's allowed to walk free. Then Nina sets up a memorial garden for Seb, but Abby doesn't like it. She doesn't see the point. She trashes it because there's a great big memorial of his face.
Big old picture of Seb, isn't there? Yeah.
She helps restore it because she thinks there aren't enough places that you can sit sadly and maudlin on this show.
there's literally one just down the road.
Bench, and then there's Victoria Gardens, but we need somewhere else that we can mope.
Yeah, what's wrong with a chippy bench? Why does nobody go and sit up there and look sad?
Smells like chips.
It's
difficult to properly feel sad when you can smell chips.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, I could solve my problems right now if I just had some nice chips.
I ain't so bad. Yeah.
I suppose it would be sad. It would be really sad if you were upset and feeling down, and you went and sat by the chippy bench, and then you were like, and I can't even have chips because I just had my dinner.
No, I'd feel sad if I was sat by the chippy bench and I went in and said, can I have chips and a minced beef and onion pie, please? And they said, we've only got chicken and mushroom. That'd be the worst.
Or steak and kidney.
Yeah. Anyway,
we digress, don't we?
Doesn't sound like us at all.
She trashes the place, then she helps
put it back. Yes.
Brian helps Abi write a victim impact statement to read out to the court, and then he reads it himself.
That is Peter Gunn's best work on Coronation Street. That scene was bloody brilliant last year.
Yeah, that was really good. She gets mad at Imran because he's defending Kelly, and she thinks that he shouldn't.
No.
Days before the trial starts, Abi encourages Nina to revisit the scene of the crime to try to see if she can remember a bit more about what happened.
Probably should have done it earlier than that, but there you go.
Flashback scene. But when the trial takes place, Kelly is found guilty. And Corrie is found not guilty.
Sent free.
He walks
does a bit of a wink at Abi, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's like, gives her the finger, walks off.
Is that the noise that he makes when he winks? Most people go ding when they wink.
I can't help it as my eyelids make a funny noise. I've already sorry. Abi has a one-night stand with Imran because why? What else would she do? Then she leaves Weatherfield for a month.
She's feeling a bit down, isn't she? And he's feeling a bit down because he didn't win his court case. Yeah.
And what better thing to do?
Oh dear! Why did they have to make that happen? Where?
Yeah.
Don't matter.
I'm interested. Was it a toilet?
Probably.
Do you know what I mean? They didn't get a hotel room, did they? They both went off to town, and then one of them came back with a baby.
And it wasn't Imran.
And it's very disgusting. Don't be doing that. People need to use the toilet.
Oh,
and you're just getting in the way.
That made me sad when that happened. It was very dramatic because we knew for a while that Imran had it off with somebody, hadn't we? And people had theorised, I think it's going to be Abi. Oh, and then they had that scene in the alley, didn't they? Abi and Imran meeting up about a month later, and it's like, no, they came to say it was Abi, and it was, and no good has come from that.
No, it's not a joyful coming together of two beautiful minds and bodies, is it?
No.
She returns to Weatherfield and agrees to get the wedding set up, all the plans together.
Back on track again.
But then she also goes, I know what I need. The perfect accessory for my wedding dress is a gun. If the government needs to encourage people to get married for stability and the health of the nation, let's start doing that. Let's start encouraging people, because you don't get tax breaks for being married, but you might get free gun.
Yeah, shotgun wedding. That's what that is, isn't it? She wants to use it to blast Corey's brains out.
Good idea. She meets up with Tez to get this gun, but it doesn't really go to plan because a hole opens in the ground and they all fall
don't you
in
hate it when that happens? She's there. She's in the House of Horrors at Coronation Street, isn't she? And Corey's bricking it.
Yeah,
he's got a gun in his
scared.
face.
She's going to shoot him. Then they all fall in a hole, and they end up down in a sewer having a nice scene.
Great
scenes. Him crying.
Yeah.
And then
water washes
Roy
the gun away.
Along. Yeah, the gun goes missing. Roy comes along and he lies about what he's seen.
And he rescues them out of the hole with his super bag.
Because Abi can't rescue herself. Who rescues the rescuers? Roy. When Debbie finds out that Abi had planned to shoot Corrie in the face, she says, leave Kevin and the marriage because you're trouble. Even when you're not on drugs, you're trouble. But the wedding goes ahead anyway. Meanwhile, Abi, Nina and Asha find evidence from Stu trying Corrie to the kicking because he had a pristine backpack or something, I can't remember. Then Corrie gets arrested, runs away. Roy leaves Weatherfield for a bit because he feels bad about himself. But really, he only goes so he can come back at Christmas.
Yeah, this gun that Abi had tossed in the drain or got washed away ends up getting used to shoot Natasha, doesn't it? And then Roy feels a bit sad.
Blames himself, even though it really has nothing to do with him. And
now he's just playing chess with Sam to make up for it, so it's fine.
Abi, Tez agrees to say, I don't remember who I sold this gun to, so that she gets away with it. Then Abi and Kevin come back from their honeymoon and Abi starts harassing Kelly because she blames for Seb's death along with Corrie, and now Kelly's out of prison because she's so beautiful. And I can't remember why now.
Because it was just found out that Corrie was the one that done it, yeah. Abi just ends up spending Christmas pursuing this vendetta against Kelly, doesn't she? Glaring at her.
Yeah. Charlie and Lexi come over for Christmas Day for a nice scene and everybody's happy. But then Abi gets sad again. She goes to a drug support group. Kelly's there as well because she keeps finding drugs and taking them. And then Abi has to listen to Kelly talking about how sad her life has been. And then maybe feels like I should give her a break. But then the year ends with Abi telling Imran that she thinks she might be pregante.
No. Yeah, that was the final scene of 2021, wasn't it? I think I might be having your baby, Imran. But no, it's just a false alarm she finds out in 2022. Well, I don't know whether she finds this out or what.
No, she said on Monday that she did not know she was pregnant.
Well,
and this is the question, do you believe her?
We'll have to see as the episodes go on, don't we? But yes, we are led to believe at the beginning of 2022 that it is just a false alarm. And then Abi does go quiet for a little bit in January, February this year. She's certainly back with a vengeance now. We found out just last week, Sally found out from Abi that, she had a one-night stand with Imran. No, Sally doesn't know it was with Imran, does she? Nobody knows it was with Imran at the moment, just Sally does. No, just Imran does, I mean. And, so Kevin finds out as well. They go off on holiday, says don't be there when I get back.
And Kevin and Jack go off on holiday without Abi.
Yes. Abi says, drugs time.
Yeah.
And
drugs and bubbles.
Yeah, and now she's had a baby and abandoned it at the hospital, and that is exactly we are at now.
You're kind of burying all that because it happened recently.
Yeah.
But when we upload this to YouTube in 5 years' time, you're going to have to elaborate more on
this is going onto YouTube next week.
All right, okay, but listen, you need to explain a bit more what happened. She's on drugs.
Yeah.
She's with this guy,
Dean,
who's a drug addict. He takes the car.
He pinches a car
from the garage.
Yes.
Because the keys are there, and he works out that Webster's garage probably opens the door to Webster's garage. He nicks a grey Nissan sports car.
Great acceleration.
And she runs out, sees that he's got this car, and he forces her in with him. Meanwhile, all day long, she's been saying, "Oh, I've got backache," or "I've got stomachache," or "I need the toilet." Then, as they're driving through the countryside, she starts to get really bad pains. and she says she needs to go to the hospital. He drops her off at the side of the road and leaves her there, and she gets her phone out and says, I'm having a baby, but then the phone goes dead, and then she's rolling around on the floor, and eventually a man who's very grumpy stops, lets her in the car. She gets to the hospital, where the nurses know that she's drunk because she smells of alcohol. She pretends her name is Jennifer Smith.
Mm-hmm.
They don't believe her. They are very worried about her and the baby. She gives birth to this tiny, tiny baby.
Tiny little bundle.
And they struggle to get him to breathe when he first is born, but then they stabilise him. He obviously is very premature. They put him in an incubator. And then as soon as the earliest opportunity, Abi runs away.
She absconds, doesn't she?
Back home to her house, and the hospital is left with this mystery woman. They print out a picture of her on CCTV, but the only clue is that she's wearing a red hoodie.
Who could it be?
Who could it be?
And that is...
Luckily, Coronation Street made sure that we knew it was Abi, because they focused
at the end of
on
the
the red
episode.
hoodie.
Look, everybody, it was her. Remember that?
All along.
I don't particularly want to spend any time theorising on what's going to happen there next, because I think that's what our main podcast is going to be for this week, and there's going to be other developments between now and then anyway. But yeah, that is the hour and 10-minute long whistle-stop tour of what Abi's been doing in the 400 odd episodes that she's been in the show, and what a life she has had. And because of this amazing performance that not Sally Ann Matthews, that's the other one. Not Sally Dinover.
No, what are you saying?
Sally Carman has done over the past few years. She's racked herself up a few awards, hasn't she? Not just Conversation Street Awards, because she's got a couple of them as well. But last year she won the Best Soap Actress at the TV Choice Awards and the Inside Soap Awards, and she got a Best Dramatic Performance at the RTS Awards as well. She's been doing really, really well. Good job, Sally Carman. Then that's not the only prize that she's picked up while she's been working on Coronation Street either, is it? Because she has bagged the big one. Joe Duttine playing Tim. They've been dating since March 2020. No, sorry, that's not right. They've been dating since June 2018, but they got engaged in March 2020, which is lovely. It's nice to see their little pictures on Instagram. They were supposed to be getting married last year, I think, but they had to put it off because of COVID and all that and the restrictions and everything. And Sally Carman is a massive, massive Christmas fan. Who isn't they, Gemma?
Quite a few major religions.
Well, Sally Carman loves it, and she says, we're going to get married at Christmas, Joe. So I guess that Christmas 2022 it is. So look out for the photos there. And we would, invites, I'm sure, just winging its way towards her. We've just spoken for an hour about how great Sally Carman is. I mean, if that doesn't deserve as a wedding invite, I don't know what does.
Do we have to do?
Basically, what do we need to do to get one of those exactly? And I mean, we've got a relationship as well, haven't we? Because she came on the podcast in 2019. I had a bit of a chat with her. It was great. It was for our 7th anniversary show of the podcast, which is episode 377. If you're interested in finding that out, and if you listen to this on YouTube, I'll put some kind of link up somewhere at the end of the episode. But yeah, Sally Carman's lovely. She's a really nice lady.
Yeah, she is.
We've never met her in the flesh, have we? We've never bumped into her on our set tour, but I hope to remedy that one day, just so that I can shake her hand and say, good job, madam, you do a very good acting thing. And yeah.
2019 she became a patron of the performing arts at Manchester College.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Good fact. That was our list of Sally Carman facts. So Gemma, would you like to please explain to our viewers, listeners, why do we love
I don't know.
Abi so much?
All the way through this, I've been like, I don't know. And lots of people on our Facebook page absolutely hate her, and it's quite funny because they only outed themselves quite recently.
I know. Because we love her so much, and they're like, and they say we can't say we don't like Abi because Michael and Gemma get mad and like boot us off the group.
They don't like dissenting opinions, which is not true.
No, absolutely.
I'm fascinated by people, the way people can watch the same thing and get a completely different perspective and take away something completely different to what I take away from watching the same thing.
The digital spy forums as well, which are a cesspit of hate a lot of the time. Not everybody there, I hasten to add, but, generally opinions there are negative. They also absolutely hate Abi.
Do they?
Oh gosh, yeah. That skank Abi. I mean, she is a little bit of a skank, isn't she?
She is
with what
bit, yeah.
she does, but she's our skank. We love her for it.
Reading back all this, I'm like, I don't get why I like Abi, and it is very difficult to defend her, but then she's not the first character that we have taken a shine to who basically experiences just never-ending parade of terrible events, all seemingly of their own making.
Yeah, I mean, she fits in, I think, to the same kind of character archetype as Becky, for example, also played by an amazing actress, Catherine Kelly, and she does bring a lot of her woes upon herself.
And Gina.
Yeah, Gina, that's another good one.
So, these are people who are kind of, not so much Becky, we never really got anything from Becky, but like troubled by mental health issues, addiction, abuse in their childhoods, just like really being in a really bad, vulnerable place and not reacting in a very helpful or
Becky
manner,
went on the rampage with a sledgehammer that one time, didn't she? Which I could totally see Abi doing.
Yeah, they just don't react in a healthy way to their to their the things that are causing them grief, and so much of fiction is characters kind of bravely struggling and doing everything right, and it's just interesting to see people make very, very bad decisions.
I think the thing with Abi and Gina and Becky is that when they have their highs, though, they're infectiously
they're joyful.
They are really joyful. She's got this brilliant smile, and when she's when she's on the up, she's just such a fun character, isn't she? And she's the sort of person that it just attracts joy, really, and it hasn't happened so much recently. I think they are really, really risking losing that. Yeah. But no, when she's fun, she's just the sort of person that you kind of want to be around. Or I'd probably stand at the side of the room and go, "Oh, they look kind of fun," but I'd be a bit too nervous to go up to them. But she's just fun, just happy.
She just wears her heart on her sleeve, doesn't she?
That's exactly right. She does.
And she can't really. There's no artifice really in her, and she does admit, this is the thing. Like she hasn't said it was Imran. She did lie about having an affair, but a lot, when she struggles with drugs and stuff, she does admit it eventually, and that's not the case with lots of addicts. It's just difficult to hate somebody that much when they already hate themselves and they feel like they conspire. Like there's nothing you can do to Abi that she hasn't done to herself. That's what I just think. Yeah. She's her own worst enemy. There's no need to pile on because she does it to herself.
Yeah, and I think that the quality of the performance really makes it for me as well. She's one of these actresses, Sally Carman, that Corrie can just give anything to, and she will be able to do it. And the grief that she's able to portray that so well. And like last year when she found out that Seb had died, and she just like collapses on the floor wailing. There's been many scenes where Abi has collapsed in a heap of sobbingness, and she just and some characters, for whatever reason, I just go, oh come on, stop crying, I'm a bit fed up with this. But with Abi, it's like, oh my gosh, this is tragic, and she can just draw me in with that, and I don't know what it is. I
think one thing that's obvious to me reading this all back is that Abi is more than the sum of her parts. How do
you mean?
Well, because her story is not very. She doesn't cover herself with glory, does she?
No.
But there's something about her that makes me want her to succeed and wish for the best for her, even though, like I said, nobody can argue that she's blameless in all of this.
No.
But she has never had any coping mechanisms for the adversities that she's experienced in her life. She just turns to drugs. And then when that's taken away from her, like we saw this year, she can't cope with her, the way that she reacted about Seb dying, and kind of manifesting that into hatred for Corrie and then Kelly, just being really inappropriate, and then sleeping with Imran when she gave up on stalking a teenage girl around.
There's so much that you can hate about her, but
yeah.
I just want to root for her, and I think it's partly because I enjoy seeing her highs when they happen, because
she can be fun, and she's funny as well. She's
really funny. She's got a great sense of humour, and she's just sparky and bright-eyed, and she's got a great smile and a great laugh and everything. And because I enjoy watching that, because I enjoy watching that, I'm like, no, come on, you can get out of this, Abi, and I will forgive her.
I don't know whether
again and again and
coming
again.
Back from this.
I'm sure there will be though, and because you can't just. And I know lots of characters have, but you can't just throw woe after woe at a character. She'll get out of it. I just hope that this isn't, an end for Abi, because I do worry sometimes with all characters that I really, really enjoy watching. I think, oh gosh, don't leave the show, especially when they're a quality actor. And Sally Carman has done many acting jobs before Corrie, so it's not her first. And if she wants to, use Corrie as a springboard now to go on and do something else, I think she could stroll into any number of big dramas, couldn't she? She is absolutely of the Sarah Lancashire, Saran Jones, Catherine Kelly calibre, I think. And that scares me a little bit, because I don't want her to leave the programme,
Yeah.
Do you think, do you kind of see her still in the show in 5 years' time?
There's no point trying to guess. There's no point.
There's not, but she's one that Corrie have got to try and keep. She really, really is. I just think, she's brilliant.
It's the main thing is, if she were to go, hoping for a very good exit storyline for her that did the character justice, which I hope we would get. But if she's gonna, say, we don't know anything about what plans are for the character, but say this was her exit storyline, I'd be super disappointed, because she's never been lower than she is now. And
she needs to rise from this.
I don't know. I think quite a lot of people now do not like her. I don't know how they can turn that around. I honestly wonder whether they wanted us, but because we thought that she was pregnant on the show, even though she told Imran that she wasn't, because of certain things that she did, like drinking orange juice and stuff. Now, when she gave birth, she said she didn't know that she was pregnant, and I wonder whether it was the decision was originally that she did know she was pregnant, but then they realised how awful that it makes her look, that the labour was triggered by a drugs binge, that they thought there's no redeeming her if she knowingly took drugs when she was pregnant. We can't.
Maybe
people, public opinion is going to turn against her, and there's no coming back. So we're going to have to quickly retcon this to say that she did not know.
Possibly. Who knows? I would hope that by the end of 2022 she'll be in a better place, because they can't keep her this low forever. But it honestly
depends on what happens with the baby.
Yeah, it does. Which I think we should speculate on.
He had quite a lot, like breathing troubles. He had jaundice.
Yeah, I think that's to speculate on in the main podcast. But is her future with Kevin? Do you think?
I never really liked them together.
I kind of semi-liked the idea, but didn't love it, and I don't really feel that they're a natural fit as a couple. No. And it's been a few years now, and they have had quite a few scenes together. It just. They don't look right together, and he's so grumpy and she's not. She's so vivacious.
I would never say, "Oh yeah, Kevin, what a fun-loving guy."
No, well he is Kev the Crank, isn't he?
He's just a moany, grumpy old man, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't know who would be better for her, but I wouldn't be mega sad.
Not
Imran. I wouldn't be mega sad if they did split up for good over this. Although I would feel a little bit sorry for Jack because he's been quite cute with his new mum.
Jack's the only one who likes her.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Debbie's going to be.
Debbie and Abi scenes are always brilliant,
Debbie and
aren't they?
Abi
Because
scenes
Sue
are
Devaney is another
fantastic.
brilliant actress.
They are so good together, those two.
Yeah, the venom between them.
Yeah, what a brilliant chemistry between those two.
Yeah, she's. I said this on the podcast years back that Abi is one of those characters that you can kind of put with any character, and you think that there could be a good scene afoot here. But put her with a really, really, really quality actor or actress like Sue Devaney, and magic happens.
That. It's the kind of symbiosis of the character and the actor, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And that is partially also to do with letting them the actor find something in the character that works with their style of performance, I guess.
Yeah.
Because we see how characters evolve over time, and certainly that's what's happened with Abi.
Oh yeah. She's definitely been on a journey, hasn't she?
Journey. Yeah.
But she came in a skank and she's still a skank, and. Sally Carmen she spoke to me about it when I interviewed her, but I think this is kind of something that she says quite a lot in the interviews, that she just seems to get cast as that kind of character. There was this great quote from an interview last spring, I think. I can't remember where it was, one of the soap magazines. She says, I always go into TV interviews with my hair done, my makeup done, and wearing really nice clothes, and they go, there we go, she's the prostitute, or that's the woman with the drug problem.
Oh, God.
People love to cast me as the down and out, but it doesn't bother me. They're the best parts to play anyway. Some actors say they don't want to be pigeonholed, but for me that ship has sailed.
Oh, bless.
Yeah, she's just so good at it, though, isn't she? She's so good at the kind of extreme grief and lows that sort of role requires, really.
There's definitely a character archetype of the downtrodden but plucky kind of lower class woman who everything that can go wrong gets thrown at them.
Yeah.
And it's a very old, much used character trope, isn't it? And like we said before, Gina and Becky are both that kind of character.
Yeah.
And Coronation Street, that kind of character fits in really well with the stories.
Yeah, definitely. Just before we finish, because we really must finish this now, because we're an hour and a half into this at this point, I found Sally Carmen's Spotlight page the other day, and I thought that the listeners might be interested to hear about some of the talents that Sally Carmen has that maybe Coronation Street will need to employ at some point.
For somebody, you might want to know.
No, I just think this, if we want to know what the future lies ahead for Abi, maybe it's one of these things, because did you know that she is a highly skilled alto and ballad
I don't know what that is.
music person? I don't know what that means, but she's quite musical. She's also
skilled.
She's highly skilled at alto and ballad, but just skilled at aerobics, blues, flamenco, Irish dance, jazz singing, keyboards, percussion, piano, recorder, soprano, and trumpet. When do we get Abi playing the trumpet,
and
please?
She can do painting.
Yeah, she is. She's a skilled painter, narrator, and this doesn't surprise me at all, improv artist as well. I want to see this. I want the Abi band.
Musical comedy and theatre.
Yes, yeah. Role play, singing, Pilates. She's also a skilled swimmer and weight trainer, and she's got a car driving licence as well.
And if you want to know what accents she can do.
Oh yeah, I'd love. Yeah, go on.
Well, she could be a Californian or a New Yorkian.
Yes.
Or just a normal
She could do loads of accents, this says.
Belfast, Cockney, Cumbrian, Irish Northern, London, Northern, RP, like to hear that, Scottish Standard, Welsh Southern, and Welsh Standard, but not Northern Welsh, don't expect that.
Yeah, so
I like this because
also a woman of many talents.
I know that when you are, if you're even if you're doing background, if you're a background artist or anything, you have the more you can put down on your list of the things that you can do. Even if you can ride a bicycle, apparently
put it in.
You put that in because if they're gonna pick you, if they need somebody to ride a bike past, they're gonna pick the person who's put it on their CV.
Yeah. What I would like
what
is
would you say?
I want Abi's Irish cousin, not a cousin, twin. to make an
Twin, Scotty or
appearance on the podcast. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, she can
the
come on the podcast if she likes, but people won't know who it is.
Top of the morning to you. It's me. What's an Irish name?
Siobhan.
It's me, Siobhan Franklin. So it is.
Can I just tell you?
I'm
right,
not highly skilled
you're not
at
going
that.
to even put those in skilled.
No.
Okay?
No.
Because I love the fact also on CV that the lowest you can be is skilled.
Yeah. There's no a bit skilled.
There's no like proficient or like can do a bit.
No. Anyway.
So she can do tap dancing?
She cannot tap dance
Well,
according
that's
to
something
this.
that I if I'm going to give her...
There's your job for this year.
If I'm giving her a... What's it called when your manager has a meeting with you and tells you how to improve next year?
Performance management.
My performance management review of Sally Carmen is learn tap dancing next.
There you go, that's your next job. You can also go on thisshotspotlight.com/many numbers and see her show reel, which is quite fun. You can see her in various things. There was a scene where she was
an accent.
I don't think there was. I think she was kind of pretty Abby sounding throughout the whole of this. But there was a good scene where she was acting again opposite what's her name? Pippa somewhere. She plays Mrs. Britas in the Britas Empire.
Oh yes,
she was sitting
her.
in a car with her in one of
Oh.
these scenes on the show reel. So if you like the sound of that, go and have a look.
As a casting director, the other thing I want to know is, are these skills combinable? Can I get her to play a Cockney Pilates instructor
Who plays the recorder and does a bit of
in my musical comedy?
Yeah, probably.
We'll ask
probably.
her. We'll
anyway,
She might be busy.
I just found that kind of interesting. So
it is really interesting, I think.
I love all that kind of stuff. That is it. We are done. Abi Franklin /Webster. That is your life. Hour and a half of it, and hopefully we'll be able to come back in another 5 years or so and say all the fun stuff that Abby's done since then, because I don't want her to ever leave the programme. Please. I hope everybody enjoyed listening to that. We probably didn't change anyone's minds about Abby.
Okay.
But yeah, that's fine. It was just a nostalgia fest, really, because all of these character profiles where we do a very quick race through everything that happened, you kind of have had to have watched it. Because we don't explain anything at length. But that's basically the story of Abby so far. Long may she continue. We are going to end it now because there's going to be a whole lot more Abby talk on this weekend's podcast, which will be appearing online on Saturday morning. And I can only imagine what adventures that Abby's going to be getting up to in the episodes of Corrie between now and then. We'll just have to wait and see. Thank you for listening. Gemma, final words?
Bubbles.
Bubbles from Gemma. And I can't think of anything either, so goodbye from me. Ta-ra.
Bye.